Time now for breathing lessons with Susan Kay, helping you learn how to breathe and release those beliefs that have been binding you so you can just enjoy life and breathe easy. Breathing lessons with Susan Kay.
Hi, this is Susan Kay. I'm back with breathing lessons. Today we're going to talk about the most dangerous time a woman has when in an abusive relationship. And we're not going to talk about this having to do with a woman in an abusive relationship. It's a metaphor. So today we're going to use it as a metaphor as to what I see going on in the world. It's no surprise, and should be well known by now, that men, specifically white men, have been in power for a very, very long time in our world. Whether we want to see it or not, or believe it or not, besides the racism that we see out in the world, the systemic racism, which I believe totally is there, there's also the misogynistic part of this. Now, before you go running and screaming away saying this woman is a feminazi or something, I just would ask you to hear me out, because I don't think I'm a feminazi. I love that. That in and of itself is part of the problem, isn't it? That the minute someone becomes who they really are, or engages their power in any way, we start enemy. We start othering them. We start othering them, and they become an enemy. So I work in a situation where I see a lot of domestic violence. I work for children in the foster care system as an advocate, as a trainer, as a supervisor for advocates. And if there's one thing that brings children into care more times than not, it's domestic violence. Domestic violence is at an epidemic level in our country. I see it in our own county. It's just amazing to me, not in a good way, how many couples engage in this kind of activity, and particularly how many men are brutalizing their families. We had one case where this man stabbed, strangled, and held a gun to his wife. And that's why the children came into care. And this woman has gone back to this man several times. And if you ever really want to know why that happened, you can watch a video called Why We Stayed. It's a really good video. It's all about why women stay with these kinds of men. And it's important for us to understand these things, because it's not their fault. They are the victims, and we need to see them as victims. But I want to talk about our culture and how I see this same thing playing out in our culture. And I'm just going to name names because I'm over it, as far as trying to pretend this isn't happening or didn't happen, or that it wasn't bad. But, prior to Trump being elected, personally, I think that the downfall of our country, one of the places that it started to topple, was after 9/11. And the reason why is because our enemies became a color, a religion, a type of other. And that's who we decided were our enemies. My personal feeling is that we went over and slaughtered a whole nation of people because of what a few of them did to us. That's another subject in itself, and I'm not going to get into that, except to say that I feel like if bin Laden was looking to destroy the country that we have loved up until that point in time, he knew exactly how to do it. And how he did it was, he created us to be the monster. We became the terrorists after that. We named people as being the axis of evil, and we went after people. And we othered people. And I know, I'm going to say this right out loud, for a long time, if I were to get on a plane and I would see a young Middle Eastern looking man on my plane, I would be very nervous, because I was subjected to this othering of people. And the truth is, there was not really a subsequent event after 9/11, partly because we caught some people, but most of the terrorism in our country are white males. That's a fact. That you can't, if you dispute that, you're not looking at the facts at all. We have a whole group of terrorists in our country that are American white males. A lot of them are Christians. And I'm going to tell you why I think this is happening. And I hope to make this not sound like it's some woo-woo thing, but I am going to use this terminology, which some people will think is, oh brother, and that is male energy and female energy. We have been in male energy so long in this country. Male energy looks like this. Male energy is all about doing. Female energy is about being. And doing is not a bad thing, and being is not a bad thing. Neither of those things in and of themselves are bad things. But when one of those things, in this case it's the male energy, becomes toxic, in that production is all that matters, making money is all that matters, accumulating things is all that matters, doing whatever we have to do to keep corporations making billions of dollars. These are all male energy things. Toxic male energy is really destroying our planet, and that it is destroying our social structure in this country and around the world. And once Donald Trump got into power, the male energy that was already ripe, there was already fertile ground. I'm not blaming Donald Trump. I'm just saying the ground was laid. There was a ground laid for a Donald Trump to come along. If it hadn't been him, it would have been someone else. To exponentially raise the level of danger for female energy. So I think, this is my opinion, but looking at the world, I've been thinking about this for a long time. The most dangerous time for a woman, or let's say for those in female energy, I'm not talking about just females. There are males who understand female energy and they know how to work with female energy. There are women in our country who are toxically masculine energy. I can name a few of those, I won't, but I think we know. If you've been following anything, you could probably name one or two. And the truth is, the toxic male energy is not necessarily tied to men. And that's why I'm calling it energy, not just men and women, because the toxicity of the male energy is within our structure, whether it comes through a man or a woman. Now, it comes mostly through men, and it has always come mostly through men. The other thing that I noticed is, and I've always seen this. This is something, in my opinion, that needs to change. Okay, so I heard a guy today say that the reason the Democrats are winning is because there's so many single women, and that women who are single vote Democrat, and so we need to get them married, because once they're married, they turn into Republicans. And at first, I mean, it jarred me. I thought, are you kidding me? But then I got to thinking about it. And what I think about it is, it might be true. And why it might be true is because women give up who they are. When they're married to a man with toxic male energy, they either have to give up who they are, or the marriage won't work. And the most dangerous time for a female, or those with female energy right now, we are in a very dangerous time, because the toxic male energy recognizes that the female energy in this country and in the world is not going to put up with it anymore, and we're walking out. Now, this may be a new thought to you, and you may be looking at me going, you're crazy. I just want you to sit with that. I want you to think about it. I want you to watch the news and keep that in mind. Once a woman is extracted from toxic males, and I'm talking about abusive males, for her to never go back, she has to learn to be single. She has to learn to love herself. She has to learn to be good to herself. She has to learn what it means for her to be her own source. To be her own source. So many times, part of the reason women stay is because this man has been her source. Maybe source of income, and maybe source of emotional connection. I know that seems ridiculous, because it doesn't feel like connection, but in her mind it probably has been. So this is just a thought I want to pass on to you today. I want you to look out at the world. I want you to study what it means for male energy to become toxic. There's so much anger, and there's so much vitriol, and there's so much hate language, and there's name calling. What is it that men do to keep women under their thumbs? I'll tell you what it is. They take away their sense of self, so that what that looks like is they can name call. They tell them all the reasons they're nothing. What are these people doing? They're getting on the news broadcast. They're naming out people. They're telling them why they're crap. They're calling them names. They're talking ugly about them. What is that doing? That is toxic male energy attacking the other energy, trying to get it to succumb. They try to take away their ability, I'm going to just use this term, to vote. In a marriage where there is the woman doesn't get to vote. She doesn't get to have a say. It's whatever the man wants to do is what they're going to do. And if the woman, asserts herself, she will be slapped down and destroyed. They keep them financially strapped. The female energy work in our country is full of poverty. I'm in one of those professions. I work with people who need help. I work with children who've been abused and neglected, and we're always running around basically begging for things for these kids. That's female energy trying to do the work in the earth that needs to be done for nurturing, for healing. Nurturing, healing, bringing balance, those are all female energies. Male energy that's toxic, and I'm not just saying that there's not good male energy. I think good male energy is someone who is a leader and knows how to help others become their best. To me, that's good male energy. So, and that can be female energy too, but that would be an example of good male energy. But the coaching type of person who is for other people and really helps them to become the best they can be, that's good male energy. But right now, what we're seeing is a holding down of anyone who dares to challenge the white male supremacy, which is the toxic male energy. And that is why things are so dangerous in our country. That is why LGBTQ are scared right now. That is why women are scared. That is why black women are scared. That is why people who need help and have all the right intentions of being good citizens are scared. That is why we've got so much homelessness. The white toxic male energy is what got us here. It's not going to take us home. We have to change the tide. This is not against men. It is not anti-man. It's anti-toxic male energy. And in order to swing that tide, I think that we're just going to have to let this energy blow through, wreaking a lot of havoc. We see it, the toxic male energy in the shooters at our schools. And we had one here in our town, so I know what I'm talking about. It's generally men, it's generally white, and they are toxic. They don't know how to get their needs met any other way other than to bully and destroy other people. So what are we going to do? We're going to stay the course. I watched this last election, which today's about the second day out, so I'm still watching it. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, what if a lot of the toxic male energy gets into power? It doesn't look like that's what's happening, but I thought, if they do, what am I going to do? Well, I know when Trump was elected, I rolled up in a fetal position and was depressed for several months. And I decided I'm not doing that this time. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to continue to work for the things that I know are true and helpful and kind and just. And anyone out there that really understands this knows what I'm talking about. It's time for us not to despair. It's time for us to take our presence, the presence of who we are, and our kindness and our compassion and our love for human beings, even those who are toxic, and distribute that in the world as much as possible. My next video will be, kind of going along this subject and looking at it like, what can we do just as regular people to change the atmosphere? And I really believe in changing atmospheres. I believe we are all responsible for whatever atmosphere we're carrying around. So that's something that we'll be talking about. How do you do that? How do you walk around in the world with the right atmosphere when this is what's going on, and there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of hatred, and there's a lot of abuse and rage and force being taken in the world. So stay tuned. This is Susan K with Breathing Lessons. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Susan K today. Subscribe on the button below and be watching for more. Learn how to breathe with Susan K.